Are we speaking the same language? We have gone over this many times now, but I don't seem to be getting through to you. Are we speaking the same language? I get a sense that maybe my Greek is not landing so well with your Chinese. Does this resonate with you? Hi, I'm Trevor Smith. I'm with the Success with People Academy, and I'm your host today. I have a internet issue, obviously, so my slides are moving slower than um, I'm speaking, but I'll work it through. Wanted to share with you that this live cast is from this Success with People Academy, and we have recorded many of them and have them available on YouTube at the Extended Disk Solutions YouTube channel. So you can access these live casts on YouTube, Extended Disk Solutions. Hi. So let's get right into it. As we promised, we keep you here just around 30 minutes. So we're not going to be long. We have a lot of ground to cover. So the context, the agenda basically would be to look at the context of this communication challenge that's there, getting people to hear you. And we will talk about what does hearing you mean in a second. But are your messages getting through? Are people not getting it? Are you talking past people? Those are questions that we are answering in this productivity enhancement live cast. And so we want to look at that context. We want to look at the 4 disc listening styles and what do they mean and what does it really mean to get heard so that you and then we want to look at communicating with each of the 4 disc listening styles. As usual, we invite you to look at the issue from different lenses, different perspective, and we always provide answers. And if we are introducing ourselves to you, we have a quick word to say as to who we are. All right. So the context basically is the issue of communicating, sending out messages that are not really landing the way that you want them to land. Yeah. And so the question is, in life, we're going to engage different individuals. You're going to have people who listen from different perspectives. If we're not conscious of this, then we will talk past some of them. The message will not land. And so that's really where we are engaged. And what we're saying here today is that this is an issue in teams, for example, where either the leader or some team members are just not clicking, on the same page because they're not getting heard or they're not hearing, not getting information in the way that they want to hear, they want to respond to. And that's a challenge. There is a famous case that we have with our colleagues in the United States who were invited in by a manager, a leader, who says, a CEO actually, who says, I'm having an issue with this manager. When we did the analysis, or when they did the analysis as we normally do, which is to do the behavioral analysis and map the team, what they found is that it's not only one manager, but there are other managers who didn't hear the way that the CEO spoke, in quotes, right? And so all of them had signs that the behavioral, extended this behavioral analysis picked up to say, hey, the challenge is not only with this manager, but generally, and the issue is your communication style. So that's something that we have to look at. Are we communicating effectively with all our team members, all our colleagues? That's the context. And so we want to then understand really and truly what are the core communication, core listening styles. And we have overlaid this on the Jungian DISC framework. And so we basically have the four quadrants, the four core styles, which would be listening from a position of dominance. And the dominance toolkit relates to being direct, decisive, daring, as you see there, demanding, determined. So that's task-oriented and outgoing, right? So the listening from influence style relates to more interactivity, more wanting to influence others, more innovation, insightfulness, inspiration. The steadiness toolkit relates to being supportive, milk of human kindness flowing through your team, and being steadfast, stable, systematic in their approaches, but also not necessarily wanting to be on the front page. The conscientiousness style relates to compliance, yes, being cautious, consistency, critical thinking, and also being very interested in information, data, evidence. All right. So those are some of the framework. But what does it really mean? I want to invite you to up your game in terms of really being heard. It's not just getting your information across and people nod and say yes. What does it really mean? So I have sort of adopted from a library, a dictionary in online, something to help us to better understand our goal, what it should be that it is when we speak or when we communicate or when we write. What is it that we would like to happen at the other end, right? So one is that the people should hear. Okay, we understand that. The noise comes in their ear. But we want them to pay attention. We want them also to be attentive, right? So we want them to give attention to what we are saying. And the opposite of that would be, of course, evidently he wasn't listening. Yeah, so we have to go back over what it is that we said. The other thing is, the second one would be is that they concentrate on hearing. So they're not distracted. They're not on the phones all over the place, right? Even they hang on to your words. They keep their ears open, right? And we have another phrase where we say that they're all ears. Yes. Sometimes we tell our colleagues that, yeah, man, tell me, I am all ears. That's the kind of response that you would ideally like to have when you communicate. The third one was that they take notice of and act on what you're saying. That's the key now that we're starting to get deeper. Act on what you say. So if you want to be heard, it's not just nice to know, it is I want to take action. So they respond to your advice or request. That's where we want to go. That's when you're really being heard. And of course, the opposite to that is I told her over and over again, but she wouldn't listen. Okay. Number 4 is that they bear it in mind. So it's not just coming through one ear and out the other. They bear it in mind and they give thought to it. They take it into consideration. They take it into account. Listen now as we go deeper. This is the challenge. They take it to heart. They accept it. They believe. They even obey. They do as they are told. What if parents, those of you who are parents, if we could just get our children to be there? That's when you are being heard. The opposite, of course, is that they ignore you and they be deaf to it. So, Trevor Everett Stewart Smith. Yes, okay, fine. Now I think I'm being called. Let me get up. Okay, so that's what's happening. Maybe, it's not as bad as that, but Your colleagues are still ignoring you. I'm trying to tell you this is an issue that we need to address. And we have discussed it every single meeting, but nobody is taking it on in terms of action, in terms of taking it to heart, in terms of believing, in terms of doing something about it. And the fifth one, of course, is that they make an effort to hear your message. They actually want to hear. Yeah, edge of my seat. They are alert and ready to hear. And here is the inspirational height, aspirational height. This is where you would really love to get to. They listen to me as if they were listening to the sounds or for the sounds from your baby's room. Just think about parents. A little sound up, say, oh, baby's crying, let's go. That's what you would want to have people to be so alert to what it is that you're communicating as if you're listening to sounds from the baby's room. Yeah. So, listening from dominance. Yeah. So, this is one of the first styles that we have. Okay. And so, here are the three keys that I want to share in terms of listening. Someone who is listening from dominance to you. Get to the bottom line quickly. Please leave out some of the preamble and all of that niceties. I know we should supposed to wrap things up nicely and package it and so, but yeah, bullet point, bottom line, get going. Right. Also, you gotta present with confidence. Yeah, you have to appear to be sure of yourself, because if you are questioning and you're not so confident, they are going to say, you don't seem to even believe in what it is that you are saying. Why should I? So the other big issue would be, our suggestion would be, ask, don't tell, as much as possible. Suggest, would you like to do this? It's a sort of Godfather idea where you ask, but then of course the information should be there that when you're asking, saying no is not really an option. So it has to be understood in that kind of context. That, and even if the power distance between you and your listener is high, when we are way up here and they are down there, you still need to talk to them in a manner that doesn't seem to have a shouting and do this now or no. So many of our supervisors and middle managers have that issue in that they are shouting. I've doing workshops and I'm saying, just ask them to do this thing. And they are saying, no, Mr. Trevor, you can't ask these people these things. You have to tell them, otherwise they're going to believe that you're weak and soft, etc. And I'm saying, no, that's not the case, because you're going to get pushback for people who listen from a dominance point of view. They're going to say, can you just talk to me like an individual, a person? Don't shout at me, please. Yeah. So that's part of it. And so get to the point, be business-like, focus on the bottom line, expect pushback at some point in time as well. And it's great if you can also talk about what's in it for them. Why does it make sense for them to accept what it is that you're saying? Yeah. So let's look at the other one. By the way, if you have a comment, question, you can put it in your chat. My colleague is online that will actually be monitoring the chat. You can't talk to me, unfortunately, but you can type in the chat. So the listening, if you're communicating with people who are listening from the influence style, engage. That's where it is. The listening, the individual who listens from the influence toolkit actually wants to connect. Connection is paramount. So they want to connect with you. And so you need to communicate at a personal level. I was listening to a podcast. I can't remember who, so I'm sorry about this, but they were talking about a medical rep who goes to the doctor, and one approaches the doctor that says, "Hey, doctor, would you like to learn about a brand new product, course of treatment. Um, that's one approach. And the other came in and says, hey, doctor, are you still, Dr. X or Y, are you still enjoying, being a doctor? Which one would resonate more? And I said to you, if the doctor is listening from the influence toolkit, the second one works. But again, one side doesn't fit all. The other doctor might say, hey, what are you here to do? Um, are you here to, investigate my life, or are you here to tell me about a product? So the individual who is listening from the dominance or from the conscientiousness toolkits might not appreciate that approach, but definitely a doctor who is listening from the influence would appreciate that. So the whole point is that connecting, create a friendly atmosphere, and don't be too complicated in your presentation. Make sure that it is easy to understand, and not that they're dumb. No, it's just that communication is easier when you don't. You can relax and listen and be able to get involved with the conversation. And if you can make it interactive, that's going to make a huge difference as well. So let's look at the steadiness situation. If you are communicating with somebody who listens from the steadiness toolkit, from their steadiness listening style, trust is important for you to be credible, trustworthy, right? Can I rely on what it is that you are saying? Are you being transparent, truthful? All of those kinds of things come. So that is supported by eye contact. That is supported by just being yourself. No pretenses, just be transparent. If you ask something and you don't know, say, I don't know. You just need to be genuine. That's basically what someone who has a steadiness listening style wants. They want to have a conversation with somebody who they can trust, who they feel safe with. So also, they want to get answers. How to? I hear the grand plans. I hear all of these things sound exciting, but how do I do it? How do I get it done? How do I execute? Where do I start? Those are things that you need to communicate with someone listening on the steadiness toolkit, right? And of course, they would want to have some kind of an ongoing support, some kind of a roadmap, some kind of a guide as to how to go forward. So if you are there for them, that's going to make a lot of difference. And as we can see over on the right-hand side here, allow them time to craft some responses. One of the challenges that we have with communication, for example, between someone who listens from the steadiness toolkit to someone who's communicating from dominance, is that there's a speed. I asked a question, I want an answer now. But the individual who is hearing from the steadiness listening style is saying, okay, I hear it. I am processing my response. I need time really to provide you with an answer. And so one of the things is that dynamic is always challenging and uncomfortable, and might actually impact the dynamics of the team, where one is communicating, want fast answers, want to respond quickly. The other wants time. I want to digest this. I don't want to say something that I might regret afterwards. I really just need some time. So little patience and better listening as well. And when we say listen, we're talking about putting yourselves in the shoes of the individual so that there is a sense of empathy. That's challenging here, right? And of course, be sensitive and understanding. Let's look at our conscientiousness, listening from the conscientiousness point of view. Logic. Just be present a rational argument that's heavily supported by evidence, data. Yes. All of us have opinions, but I'm not sure that I want to invest my time in listening to a lot of opinions. Um, is there some basis? Have you outlined it, place this in some kind of a logical sequence that somebody could say, okay, this is a starting point here, and it's going there, and this is how I ended up here. So if you do this, then make sure, for example, that you start from a solid premise, because if you start with a faulty premise, then I'll admit already you have lost my attention. I am saying, what's the point? So this requires some thought. It's not just running off, you know, the mouth. It means to think about being evidence-based in your communication. Think about what are the results that you want, what are the implications that would come from this. All of those things need to be taken care of before you even open your mouth. Right? So that's that's what is going to be required if you are going to be heard. And we're talking about heard. We looked at all of those, what we meant by being heard. If you want to have action, if you want your colleague who is a conscientiousness listener to do things, to respond effectively to what it is that you are saying, then these things are important. You need to respond to their questions. You need to be ready to provide some evidence, some example, some case study, somewhere where what you're suggesting has worked. All of those questions are important if you're going to get a success. So far, we have sought to communicate the importance of getting your message across to all elements. Don't leave out aspects of your audience or people who are not communicating in your style. It's important for you to be able to reach out to different listening styles, whether it is at work or at home or at play. All this is important. And so we have also showed the importance of actually studying, learning how to identify different listening styles, and how to get best results when you're communicating with them. And we have gone through 4 disc listening styles, so you have a better understanding. Of course, it's a quick overview. More work would be needed to be done there. Okay? So, as usual, in our live cast, we want you to invite you to do a little introspection, a little reflection. We call it different lenses. So what if you took the communication challenge to another level? I mean, you just decide that, okay, I'm doing well, people hear me, I get along with friends, and my colleagues seem to respond to me. But what if you really wanted to go to the next level? Yeah. What if your ultimate goal would be to have people listen to you as if they're listening for the baby songs from the baby's room? I mean, fine, okay, fine. That's stratosphere, right? I agree. But seriously, what if you really wanted to significantly improve your impact and influence, where you really are able to communicate so much better with people? That's the challenge that I want to put before you today. That reflect as to whether satisfying with where you are is adequate, or whether you can in fact step up to other levels. That's my challenge to you. All right, I have some action that I want you to take, putting it out here straight. Right now, we looked at solutions. I have an actual solution. So these live casts are not about trying to sell anything or promote. It really is about to give information, as you know. Those of you who have been in these casts know that. But if I have a solution and keep it from you, that's not fair to you either. So we actually have a program that's coming up. Of course, it's called, obviously, How to Get Heard by the 4 Listening Styles. And the next cohort will be in June. June 18 is going to be an hour per week for 4 weeks. Right? And we have an introductory price of $97. But if you respond today, just send an email to info@successwithpeople.org, you actually get a 20% discount off that. So the course actually is designed for people like you, corporate professionals who want to improve their communication skills, but not in the generic kind of communication skills approach. It is really also how you're going to increase your impact and influence. And of course, that will influence your career. It's an interactive, engaging learning experience as usual. And what we'll do though is that we're going to teach you how to get heard by each of the 4 listening styles. We did a little high, level look at some of that today, but how you can actually identify them and how you can actually tailor your communication to each one so that you effectively are communicating with all styles. Right? Here's the other beauty though, is that you actually are going to get your personal, you spend 10 minutes and fill out a questionnaire, the extended this analysis, and you'll get your personal listening style profile. And why is that important? Because you have to understand self before you can understand others. And so if we understand our listening style, we can communicate from that better. But not only will you get your listening style, but you will also get the full granular behavioral DNA analysis. So your leadership style, your time management style, your project management style, your communication style, all of those kinds of things are included in the report. Yes, for the same figure that we mentioned here, the introductory $97. So you get all of that. Yeah. So I don't know. Are you tired of feeling misunderstood at times or failing to get through to your colleagues in meetings and presentations? Well, if so, this is for you, right? So you get this practical, the content. So the content, you'll have the online content available on a cloud platform 24/7 by any device. But in addition, and this is reaching out to my, those are my listeners who listen from the steadiness toolkit, that we will support you with expert-led 1-hour webinars. So you have this interactive. So 4 hours, 1 hour per week for 4 weeks to just go back over some of the content, answer questions, get feedback from others. So it's a sort of tutorial, if you go back to your college, those tutorial sessions where the facilitator tries to help us to have a deeper understanding of the material. Well, that's what that is. So we have 4 of those sessions, and of course, contact with the facilitator by email, by WhatsApp is available. So that's it. It's a 4-week interactive program with heavy content and facilitator-led sessions, 1 hour per week. And it's your opportunity now to get 20% off the already ridiculous $97 tuition fee, getting your full analysis of yourself. So it's not only your leadership style, but also your listening style in depth. All right. So pop me an email, info@successwithpeople.org, and we will send you more information. And by the way, yes, some of you are responsible for teams and for other groups. We will have group arrangements where you can actually set up to have your team have access to this. This is powerful stuff for people who are involved with sales as well, and definitely for your supervisory levels who really seem to have a challenge communicating with their direct reports. All right. So that's it. Who are we? Success with People Academy is part of the InfoServe group, and we basically are engaged with human capacity development. And we infuse a lot of technology into whatever it is that we do. So for example, the course that we talked about is on a learning management platform. And we have the Spike Performance Management Governance is a multifaceted technology solution that deals with performance, onboarding, recruitment, learning, succession planning, and it has a built-in e-competency framework. Of course, we coach and certified leadership professionals and also work a lot with engaging and developing high-performing teams. Of course, we deal with, of course, helping you in hiring, getting rid of bad hires. That's it. Thanks. Our time is up. Thank you very much. And look forward to hearing from you with respect to the how to get heard by the 4 listening styles.